If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have this. If it wasn't for me, your life wouldn't be this way. If it wasn't for me, the jealous mother. But first, like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. Dealing with a jealous mother has to be one of the worst things in the world. To deal with a person who you would think would be the strongest supporter, your strongest encourager, the person who would want to see you be 10 times better than they are, oftentimes they are the very ones that like to remind you of where you came from. Dealing with a toxic mother is something that I don't wish on any woman, because once again, being a mother, you would think that that natural instinct to want to provide, protect, to nurture your children would kick in. And especially with girls, with boys too, your children, period. But with the girls, when a mother, and this is just my outlook on it based on being a mother, when you look at a daughter and she's a split image of yourself, or she's, she came from you, you're looking at her as if she's the most precious thing to you, and you want to see her succeed in every area of her life. But when a mother is dealing with deep-seated jealousy, as that daughter grows up, you might not see it when the daughter is younger, because when the daughter's younger, she's a child. But as that daughter grows and she begins to become her own person, the mother is not really able to influence her as much as she used to. And if that mother has dealt with her own issues, or is currently dealing with her own issues of feeling like she's not fulfilled in her own life, or she sees her daughter now living the type of life that she herself was not able to live, sometimes you will see a mother that suddenly becomes jealous of her daughter. The number one example I can think of and give you would be Tokyo Toni with Black China, or Angela White. She is the prime example, or one of the prime examples, of a mother who cannot handle the success of her daughter. When a mother feels like she sacrificed everything for you, and she doesn't understand that that's just a part of motherhood, she doesn't understand that when you bring children into the world, you may have to sacrifice some things. You may have to put some of your dreams and goals on the back burner, or at least on hold for a time. If a mother doesn't understand that, and she made those sacrifices and now her children are doing well, a jealous mother will look at her daughter as if she did something wrong by succeeding because she could not. And I know that's very weird, and I don't even think that that's something that we really truly should be able to understand. But I thank God that He's given me that understanding, that sometimes it's like that. I have never experienced that with my mother, thank God. And I think most of the reason is because, number one, my mother, even though she had her issues and she dealt with substance abuse, she was not like that. I didn't have a close enough adult relationship to really have that kind of interaction with my mother. My mother passed away when I was 19 years old. So I didn't really have too much of an adult relationship with her. But from some of the people I know and things that I have observed, it is absolutely a sure thing that you can deal with a mother who is jealous of you. And just other adult people that you would think as a younger woman, as a woman that's coming up and just developing, maybe you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you have mother figures around you. You have aunts, you have, big sisters, big cousins. You would think that those women would be in your corner and would want to see you doing well. But sometimes, again, and this is my opinion, but it comes down to them not being able to do the things that you're doing. I remember seeing this show on TLC. I forget the name of it. TLC is the channel where, a lot of the medical shows, the 600-pound life and all these different kind of shows are on there, freaky eaters and all that kind of stuff. Well, there was one show where the mother moved into the home essentially to help her daughter because the daughter was pregnant. So she moved in order to be there to be of help to her daughter and her husband once the baby is born. But what happened when the mother moved in, she developed this relationship, not intimate, but definitely weird, relationship with the husband. And some of you might have seen that episode where at the baby shower, the mother wasn't over there with the daughter, helping her do things, mingling amongst the family. Her and the husband, her son-in-law, was spending so much time together. They were dancing and holding each other and doing these different things, and not in a playful way, in a very inappropriate way. And then there was one scene where her son-in-law and her daughter, they had an argument about the mother. And when the husband left the room, you would think that he would go out into the living room and just cool down. Maybe he'll sleep on the couch. He went into the guest bedroom where the mother was and laid in her bed and spent the night there in their home. I give you this story to tell you that there are some mothers who might not have been toxic when you were younger, but as you grow and as you become everything that they themselves have not become, I know it's very odd, but they're out there. If you become the type of woman that your mother aspired to be and she just couldn't become that for some reason, or she was raising you, instead of her celebrating with you and understanding that, you know what, I'm so happy that my daughter was able to obtain what I could not. Now I get to share in the fruits, because if you're a good mother, your children are going to want to share with you. Whatever they're doing, they're going to involve you. They're going to want you around. You're going to be blessed because of how you raised up your children. But when you have a jealous mindset as a mother, when a mother has a jealous mindset, she will look at her daughter as competition. But I say this to say that that mother actually that mother-in-law allowed her son-in-law to sleep in the same room with her after having an argument with her daughter. Now, a mother with common decency will tell him, okay, we had a little conversation, y'all will work it out, and send him back to the couch or in the bedroom. But do you think she did that? Absolutely not. She allowed him to stay the night in her room. I don't know about you, but if that was me, nobody would get any rest that night, because that's inappropriate, number one. But I give you this long story to tell you that that mother envied how much time, and it's weird, I keep saying that because it is. The mother envied how much time that the son-in-law was spending with her pregnant daughter. There were different scenes. I'm not going to give you the whole rundown, but there were different scenes where the mother felt like the son-in-law was spending too much time with the daughter and not enough with her. And when they asked her finally, when the husband stepped up as a man and told his mother-in-law, I think it's time for you to move out, she said something to the effect that you're choosing her over me. That right there showed you that the mother was not in the household to be there for her daughter. She was trying to take her husband. And as messy as that is, this is a reality for many women. They have mothers in their lives who envy the life that they have. And that is the worst thing ever. And I haven't dealt with it personally, but I can only imagine that being the worst thing ever. I have a daughter, and I want her to be 10 times better than me. My daughter wants to be a graphic designer, and she's into animation and illustration, and we just had her portfolio reviewed in the college tour that we just went on. And I'm praying and hoping that my daughter will excel so much so that she's able to invite her mama over to the mansion so that we can relax and sip mimosas and just, I want that for her. I want that for us, okay? And I don't know why jealous mothers don't see it that way also. Back to the Tokyo Toni example. She almost, there were episodes that I saw of the show, and I forget what the show is because I would see clips. I think it might have been Love and Hip Hop or one of those shows, and I didn't really watch it. I saw clips through YouTube or either on TikTok, but she was and still is toxic to her. Anytime a mother feels some kind of way about seeing her daughter do well, if it makes her feel uncomfortable coming into the environment where her daughter lives because she feels like, oh, she thinks she's better because she's living here. Oh, she got that. And God forbid, if you are a black woman and you happen to date a man, or you're married to a man outside of your nationality, outside of your ethnicity, they're really, a jealous mother's gonna be like, oh, you got that white man. Oh, you got this. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So dealing with a toxic mother, dealing with a jealous mother, how do you deal with her? Well, for me, I've never dealt with it personally, full transparency, but I will tell you, and this is for me, spiritually, you have to honor your mother and your father. But honoring your mother and father does not mean allowing them to mistreat you, because right underneath of that scripture, it says, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. That applies to mothers too. That means do not do things that cause your children to rage against you, to disrespect you, to not want to be around you. So if you're dealing with a parent, a toxic mother, the number one thing you can do to protect yourself is put a distance between you and her. Instead of coming around all of the time, because maybe being in her presence makes you antsy, makes you anxious, there's always some kind of drama or argument. Maybe instead of coming into her presence all the time, you can just call her more often. And then even if the conversations, because I know I was raised with my father and my stepmother, and I know for me, for a time, talking to my father was too much, because some of the conversations would quickly go left, because he started talking about things from the past, him and my mother, heavy things that I just could not deal with mentally. And he loved to call me late at night. Like, we had all day. Why wait until 10 p.m., 11 p.m. to call me talking about your 30-year marriage and the issues you went through and what should have been, and involving us? It's so negative. And when a parent is dealing with substance abuse, sometimes they just don't really understand what they're saying, and you do have to give them grace to a certain extent, but under no circumstances do you have to deal with a toxic parent and allow them to disrupt your adulthood. If you dealt with toxicity from your parents as a child, the moment you have a choice on how you want to live, you no longer have to deal with toxic behavior, jealous behavior, whatever it might be, from your mother or your father. Don't ever let me get a little spiritual for a moment. Don't ever let the enemy guilt you into believing, because he tried to do this to me. Oh, you shouldn't act that way. You should answer the phone for your dad. You shouldn't block him. That's your father. If my father is talking to me crazy and mentally I can't deal with that, absolutely I will block him for a time. I used to block my dad for 3 and 4 days at a time. And I wouldn't know. If it was an emergency or something was really wrong, the voicemails would still come through. I'll check it. If it's some kind of drunk, crazy talk, he's alive. That's all that matters to me. But I'm not talking about that. No. But I'm telling you this to say, jealousy from a mother, toxicity, negativity, period. We can't choose our parents. And while we love them, we honor them, as you grow older, you do not have to deal with the things that you dealt with as a child. So as I was saying, number one way that you can protect yourself from the jealous mother, put a distance between you and her. Don't go into her presence all the time if you don't have to. If you know every time you're around her, there's an argument or an issue, or she's picking you apart, maybe call her on the phone. See how she's doing. If you're going to stop by, bring a gift, just check in and leave. You don't have to be in the presence of somebody who, you love them, they love you, but y'all just don't judge. Your personality just don't click, or they have some kind of issues that you can't figure out, and it's not your job to figure out. You send up a prayer and you focus on your own life. It took me years to understand, you know what? You have a husband, you have children, you have multiple things that you're doing in your life. You're focusing on the Lord most importantly. You've done that. Your extended family, you pray for them, you love them, but you must focus on this now. I delivered you from that. I delivered you from that toxic environment of constant arguing, bickering, fussing, chaos, cussing, turmoil. I saved you from that. Focus on your own life and don't feel guilty for it. So number one, put distance. Number two, don't share all of the intimate details of the great things or the bad things that are happening in your life with your mother. I know there's going to be some people that hears this and say, how dare you tell people to not talk to their mothers when they're going through things? Why would you talk to a mother who seems to get joy out of the fact that maybe things didn't work out for you? If she is a miserable, jealous mother, I'm not talking about regular, decent, good mothers. I'm not talking about them. By all means, you share with them. I tell my daughter all the time, I don't care what you're going through or what's bothering you, no matter how big or small, you can talk to me about anything. But I'm not talking about us mothers. I'm talking about those jealous, envious mothers. Those mothers that always looking down their nose at you as if living better, living good is a negative. Don't share your good news with them all the time, because what you don't want is people, and I don't know why this is happening, but look, I'm going to say you have to try the spirit of the person. And everybody's spirit is not for you. And you know this, but when it's your mother, it can be a little rough. So with a mother, a jealous mother, you don't want to keep telling her about all the great things that's happening in your life. Hey, me and my husband, we just booked a trip to Maui. We just did this. We're doing that. We're doing this. If you already see that the mother is dealing with her own issues, or she's kind of, insecure around you, number one, you don't want to be the type of woman that's just braggadocious. You don't want to provoke people to be envious or jealous. That's just class on your part, especially when it comes to your mother. You want to show her grace. You want to be gentle with your mother. But you also want to protect yourself and not allow somebody to inflict pinpricks of doubt onto you to get you to start second guessing your life. Somebody who's jealous, a mother, she will say things to you like, oh, y'all spending all that money for that trip. You really think you need to do that? Didn't you say, like that kind of talk? And I've dealt with that kind of thing, not from a mother, but just from other people in general. You don't want to give people the opportunity to put pinpricks of doubt into your mind where you start second guessing what you're doing, especially if it's something you felt great about. If you felt like you were going to go on a vacation and all of a sudden somebody comes in talking about, well, in this economy, people love to talk about the economy as if everybody is going through the same thing at the same time. Some people know how to manage their money better, but that's not the point. You don't have to explain why you move the way you move to your parents as you get older. And if the mother is jealous, she will say little things like that. She'll constantly try to get you to think there's something wrong with doing things that she deems as too lavish. I mean, for goodness sake, you could be a regular woman just going to work and you happen to have just a decent job. You're not a millionaire, you're not rich, you're just living comfortably. You're living comfortable. And if the mother was never able to have a job where she got a steady paycheck and she just, whatever she's doing, or dad was in control of the money and she sees you, if she's jealous, that very basic thing of going to work every day might make her feel some kind of way. And I know, this whole conversation might seem very odd to some, but there are people who actually go through these kind of things. And when you're dealing with this type of mother, a jealous mother, you have to know how to love her, but also protect yourself from that toxicity. And I know a lot of people like to say that, narcissistic mothers and all this kind of stuff, they think it's just about them. I don't think sometimes it's just about them. I think it's more so resentment. When a mother or a woman or anybody for that fact has resentment towards another person, they feel like they have held them back in some way, that's going to show. And even though you might have been a child, you're her child, you're her daughter, you didn't ask to be here, but because mama decided to lay down with Bozo and now you're here, and the timing, she wasn't able to finish her degree, she wasn't able to go back to school, she wasn't able to do all the things she set out to do. Because of that resentment of the decision she made, you unfortunately might end up paying the price for that. And it shows its ugly head in the form of jealousy. So number two way, long-winded way of protecting yourself is to put a distance between you and her, to love her from a distance, to respect her and honor her, but you have to really do what you need to do to protect yourself. You have to put those boundaries in place that says, you know what, she feels how she feels, but I don't have to put up with this. Like, I'm grown. I really don't. And then the last thing you can do when it comes to dealing with a jealous mother is that you pray for her and you encourage her. And this is really where, you know, we show grace with everybody. As a woman, as a feminine woman, if you're a divine feminine woman, you have to show grace with everyone. I just did a video about jealousy in general from other women, and it's coming along with the level up journey. But what I don't want you all to think is that it's okay. You know, we're not talking about arrogance here. We're talking about just living your everyday life, your everyday existence. People can be jealous of that. I'm not talking about the kind of woman that's walking around saying, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Like, as feminine women, we don't operate that way. We don't move that way. We don't act arrogantly and proud. We're not all, you know, And even if you like to be that way, wonderful. But it's not that. The woman that's just living her life, and as I've said before, the works are speaking for themselves. You don't really have to say much. People see how your life is going. They see that you're not the average bitter black woman, the average negative Nancy. You're not the average, bitter Betsy. They will see that and become jealous, mother, woman alike. So it's not about being an arrogant woman. It's not about not showing people grace. You can show people grace, but still have your boundaries so that you're protecting yourself. I think so many people are accustomed to dealing with toxicity that they give people the benefit of the doubt too much. And when you do that, you allow people to inflict their issues on you. And unless you are a God, a counselor, a psychotherapist, or somebody who has went to school for that kind of thing, nobody has the right to place their issues on you. You are not at fault because your mother was not able to finish her degree or live the life that she wanted to live. You are not to blame because a woman in your friend circle is married to a bozo. You're not to blame because you have a decent husband, but your sister married Pookie and now she's dealing with Pookie type of issues. Like, that's not your problem. And nobody has the right to make you feel like it's your problem, all because they are miserable in their own lives. Stop accepting dysfunction as normal. All right? Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.